Hello there! So, you wanna play a druid in Classic WoW? Good on you. It's a great choice. I hope you enjoyed your leveling process. Whether you decided to level as a feral cat, bear, or maybe even a boomkin, you know, it's when you get to the end game, there's always a little bit of a push for druids to be healers, and I decided to go that way for myself. So, this is a guide for a Restoration Druid in Classic World of Warcraft. We're currently in Phase 4. Zul'Gurub is out, as you can tell by my massive staff here, the Will of Arlok. And today we're gonna go over a couple of things, we're gonna go over my UI, some talents, and primarily I want to jump into some gameplay analysis, show me how I work the druid in both raids and in a dungeon environment, because it varies quite a lot. But first of all, let's get into the UI of my druid. As you can see, I use a couple of add-ons. I use Bartender, as you can see down here. For my action bars, I got details going over some stuff on the sides. I got the dispels, the healing done, the damage done. And I also got some weak auras, not specifically for the druid. I got it more for like shaman and paladin blessings and stuff like that. But the biggest one that we're gonna look at is Cell, which I actually used to change my raid frames a bit more. The classic Blizzard raid frames are all good, but I found out that Cell was a bit more what's the word? Customizable is the word I'm looking for. So I got a couple of different versions of Cell. As you can see, here is my dungeon version, which is a little bit bigger unit frames, and here is the raid version. That's a big one. I don't really know why it's that big, to be honest. We're gonna look at the raid. Here we go. As you can see, here is my raid option for 40 people, 8 groups. And while I'm here, I can, when I'm casting my healing touches or whatever, I'm gonna watch what HOTS are on every player, because if you don't know, as a druid, there can only be one healing over time effect per druid, per target, so it's quite good to just check, what your fellow druids are casting, so you're not, getting that error message that a more powerful spell is already active, or be like me and snipe my fellow druids rank 11 rejuice off with my Swiftmend. But more on this later. You'll see it in the gameplay overview. As for talents, there's primarily 2 talents builds I think we're gonna talk about today. First one is the Swiftmend build. As you can see here, it focuses on improved rejuvenation, nature swiftness, improved regrowth, and Swiftmend as the big talent point here. This spec is perfect for beginners getting into the druid. You're sort of learning your way and how it works with HOTS and cast times and all of it. We're also going a little bit to the balance tree just to get nature's reach primarily, which increases the reach of our healing spells by 20%, which is good in 40-man raiding encounters. The other spec we're going to look at is the Nature's Grace plus Regrowth build. So this is better for shorter fights, to be honest. Swiftmend is it's an all-around build, but it's primarily used for longer fights. And here we got the Regrowth build. As you can see, we're still going into the Resto tree. We're grabbing Nature Swiftness, we're grabbing improved Regrowth as well. We're not touching improved Reju, we're not touching Swiftmend. Instead, we're diving a little bit deeper into the balance tree. Still getting our Nature's Reach, we're getting our Vengeance, which is the critical strike if we're ever going to do some damage on bosses. But this is the main talent that we want, the Nature's Grace. It's going to increase our casting speed after making a critical strike, and if we go into improved regrowth, as you can see, improves the critical chance, or the critical effect chance of your regrowth spell by 50%, And if you stack this with world buffs, you know, you're gonna pretty much be critting non-stop with your regrowth, which means that you're gonna have Nature's Grace up a lot of the time. This spec is a lot more mana heavy. It requires you to be more active with your consumables such as mana potions, dark runes, be a bit more selfish with your innervates. But all in all, you know, it's a good parse build for shorter fights. I would, however, recommend to start with the Swiftmend build when you're just getting into your Restoration Druid to learn how to use your spells correctly, manage your mana, etc. When we get a little bit further into Classic, there's also going to be the Moonglow build, you know, so there's basically going to be 3 stages. So Swiftmend build, like I said, great if you're just capping, getting into your pre-raid bis farming, early molten cores and whatever. When you get from after Blackwing Lair heading into AQ40 and Nax, you know, you're going to swap out your Swiftmend build for the Regrowth build and a Moonglow build, which I'm going to put up on the screen. Moonglow is basically a Regrowth build with the Moonglow talent, which reduces the mana cost of your spells by 9%, which is going to be a good substitute for the Swiftmend build. Well, other than that, you know, let's talk a little bit about consumables and trinkets and things along these sides. As you can see, I'm currently running with the Royal Seal of Eldre Thalas from Dire Maul, which is gonna be probably the best trinket I can get until I get my healing trinket from Blackwing Lair. I'm also rocking the Sandalarian Hero Charm. I am, however, if you look at my bags, I am working on collecting the Dark Moon trinket, the Blue Dragonflight one, which is gonna give me a good mana regen proc, which is the same one as I have on my tier 2 set that allows 15% of mana regeneration to continue while casting. So it's going to be a good thing. Other than that, you know, I'm rolling the Will of Arlok. If you get this one from Zul'Gurub, always keep it around. What I would recommend you to do is when you get like a Loch the Mayor's hammer from Nefarian or your High Warlord weapon, enchant those weapons with plus healing power, keep your Will of Arlok around and enchant that with plus 20 spirit. So when you feel like you want to innervate someone, you make a macro that equips your Will of Arlok, casts innervate, and then you press the same button again and you re-equip your regular weapons. That is going to give you a huge mana boost. Other things to keep in mind, you know, is what spells do I use and how do I use them. You know, down ranking is a thing. First of all, you know, Fairy Fire, we are 3 druids in our raids, but we rotate on who's gonna be keeping track of that. What's in dungeons, you always have to keep track of your Fairy Fire, you know, that's just a given. It's gonna help your melees out. If you're rocking them primarily caster cleave, it's not as important, but you know, it's a good thing. You can do ranged pulls and whatever in tight dungeons. As for, you know, healing spells, I'm rocking Healing Touch, primarily Healing Touch rank 4, which is the most mana effective spell in the game basically. And I'm also rocking Healing Touch rank 10 for emergencies. As for the regrowths, I'm rocking Regrowth rank 4 and Regrowth rank 8 keybound, and I'm also rocking Rejuve rank 5 and Rejuve rank 10 on my mouse over macros, which is another thing I'm gonna show you real quick here. As you can see, I got my Abolish Poison mouse over macro here, which is really good to have. I got the same one for Healing Touches, I got them for Innervate, I got them for my Regrowths, Rejuves, and my Regrowths, and of course the Swiftmend. So if you want those macros, just drop a comment below, I'll help you out with it. As for consumables and stuff like that, like I told you before, get yourself some dark runes, get yourself some Nightfiend soup, as you can see here, and you know, major mana potions. I'm an alchemist, so I can make them. You know, these ones are really good to have. And other than that, you know, when you're raiding, get yourself a flask of distilled wisdom. They're down on Thunderstrike now where I play, they're down probably under like 100 gold, which is good. I still remember those crazy days when we needed to farm like 250 golds worth just to get a flask. And of course, you know, and two other things I forgot to mention. Get yourself mouse over macros for your combat res and for your decurs. You know, it's so much easier to just move your cursor around and just throw out spells and reuse and combat reses and all these things. As for stats and things to keep an eye out for when you're heading into your gearing process, for stats, you know, look for healing power, MP5, intellect primarily. If you can get some spirit in there as well, there's a good thing, but you know, focus on that healing power and that MP5 so that you can help your mana bar, because the Druid is quite mana hungry. It's not the most efficient overall, even though Healing Touch rank 4 is the most efficient spell in the game. As for, you know, things to keep an eye out for when you're doing Sulgurub and farming out some epics and some starter gear, make sure to start your process in getting your trinket from the Edge of Madness. I'll put it on the screen now, as I don't want to butcher its pronunciation, but that trinket is going to take you about 7 weeks to get, but you're never going to change it out at all. So that is things to, you know, keep an eye out for. Don't be afraid to check up some biz lists. One thing that I really would recommend you to do is to do the In Dreams questline for the 4-ring seal. As you can see here, plus 37 healing power is absolutely massive. So, you know, check out some pre-raid best in slots stuff, get into your gear grind, and now we're gonna head into the dungeon gameplay and analyze a little bit of what I'm doing. So, see you soon. So, as for the dungeon footage I wanted to show you, I decided to pick out a little bit of gameplay from the trash before the 2 last bosses of Stratholme Undead. By the way, I'm 20 rounds deep into farming this for a pre-raid biz neck. I've also been farming the neck from Sulgurub for every reset, but you know, anyways. As you can see here, we've been chain pulling a little bit. I'm pretty low on mana, but I'm just using my rejuvenations smartly, you know, using the lower ranks just to let them work on people and getting them to just trickle their health up a bit. As you can see, the tank is going away pulling. I find the time to sit down and drink a little bit. It's fine, you know, I know he's not gonna die instantly, so I can just get a couple of sips of water in, get my mana bar up. As you can see, my inner raid is also available in case that stuff was to go south. As you can see here, I just pop on a higher rank rejuve on the tank, which is something that you should get used to doing. You know, the guy who's taking the main damage should have the highest rank of the rejuvenation on him. As you can see here again, he goes in and I just sit down and drink a little bit. Just get used to, you know, planning around it. You know, the group can pull mobs and they can start killing stuff without you having to be at full mana. So, you know, that's a good tip to carry with you when you're gonna do dungeons, because you want it all to go by super smoothly. And as you can see here, I'm just throwing up rank 4 regrowths on all the melee, because they're gonna bounce around with the threat a little bit. And then, you know, you just keep your hots up, keep them rolling, and fill in with Healing Touch rank 4. Important thing is to never overheal as a Resto Druid. You know, your hots are gonna do the work. That's the most important thing, because if you throw hots on someone and then you just cast a Healing Touch rank 8, for example, and they get up to full mana or full health, that is just wasted resources. Just make sure that you always let your dots do the work, trust your dots. You know, it's like any kind of relationship, you know, there has to be trust there for stuff to go good. And here again, you know, the same thing happening. I'm drinking a little bit, throwing out the hots, dispelling the poisons. Nothing special here, you know. throwing those hots out. You know, as you can see, this add-on, I really recommend you to get it. It's super clear what you need to dispel, how long there's left of your dots. You know, it's really good. Here as well, you know, I'm just, like I told you, keep those rejuice out. Make sure to plan ahead a little bit. You see I'm at 50% mana. I know that there's 2 mobs left and then there's the boss, so I'm not gonna waste my innervate here. I might need it later. So here, you know, once again, tank goes. I'm sitting down to drink. He's gonna be slapped for a little bit. It doesn't really matter for me, you know, because I know that, as you can see, our shaman here made a big play throwing out a poison cleansing totem. All the props to him. Just working my rejuice, and here you can see this is what I mean. You know, I have 3 rejuice out and I top the guy off with a healing touch. That effectively is wasted healing, overhealing, you know, wasted mana, wasted resources, and so much of classic healing is just about managing your resources correctly. So there you can see last mob goes down. I'm at 55% mana. I'm throwing out some hots, positioning myself in the middle of the room, sitting down to drink as Rhymestein the Gorger is coming in. And as you can see in the chat, I'm pretty desperate to get that neck by now. So Rhymestein actually hits pretty hard, so you know, always keep your top rank rejuice on him, on the tank, and I also threw out regrowth on him. As you can see, when people are getting threat, you know, I pop my nature swiftness into a rank 9 regrowth. Just fill in with healing touches, just letting my dots do the work. No, not my dots, my hots, I mean, letting them work and topping people off. As you can see, I threw in a range on myself here. That's only because I know that I want to have a full mana bar for the next one. But as you can see, that's around 28, no neck, and I'm pretty pissed off. Anyway, let's head over to the raid here. I'm gonna show you a kill from Nefarian that we did probably last week. As you can see, their frames are a little bit smaller when there's 40 people in the raid, and we're also 2 Resto Druids. So this is what I really want to push. You know, as you can see here, I can see both my own hots and my fellow Druids' hots, which means that I know what targets I can actually throw a heal on. And as you can see here, we're just killing the ads here. This is actually pretty chill for a healer overall. You know, these guys, since we're pretty good geared in our guild right now, we've been clearing Blackwing Lair every reset since it released, which means that the ads die super fast. So I actually decided to be a little bit more aggressive on my mana early in the fight so that I could be a little bit more, you know, relaxed. When we're down here like halfway through the ads, I can chill out a little bit more. As you can see here, I'm just waiting for the 5-second rule, and the 5-second rule basically means that if you're standing AFK for 5 seconds without touching your buttons, the game acts as if you're out of combat, which means that your mana regeneration kicks in a little bit more. So I decided to chill out a little bit, just throw out hots when I need to, and let my mana regen a little bit more. So as you can see, the guys are actually doing a really good job here. My mana is getting up. You see, I'm currently at 70% mana, just waiting for phase 2 to begin. And in phase 2, I'm designated to be the main tank healer, which means that I need to keep our warriors alive. Here you see the raid leader calling out the guys who forgot their cloaks. Just hide behind the line of sight throne. I also used the demonic rune there to get my mana up. As you can see, I'm going into phase 2 with 82% mana. Innervate is almost up. I got a mana potion going as well. So here we go. Nefarian comes flying in, and everybody except for the mage lived. But anyways, you know, here as you can see, we're starting to push phase 2 here. I'm actually focusing primarily on keeping our tanks alive, but when he's good on health and I got my hots rolling on him, you know, I can throw out some other rejuvenations just to help out with the raid healing. But we got shamans doing a good job here, pressing chain heal all night. So, as you can see, just throwing out the healing touches here. I'm actually, to be honest, being a little bit careless with my healing touches. And, you know, I'm being sniped by our priests and shamans. So I'm overhealing a little bit. So if I'm gonna, when I'm raiding this next week, I'm probably gonna be a little bit more passive with my healing and really, you know, throw it out when I see it matters. But as you can see here, Nefarian is going down steadily. He's at 60% now. I'm good with mana, 50% mana still. And here you see Fear goes out, and the tank is decursed with the healing debuff, decursing quickly. And just keep the top rank regrowth, top rank rejuve rolling on him all the time. This is my primary objective this fight, you know. The logs doesn't really matter for me here, I just need to do my assignments correctly so that the guild kills the boss as smoothly as possible. This was actually like a 41-minute Black Malaria clear, I believe, so it was a really good run from the guild. So here you can see Nefarian has turned around, he's starting to slap a little bit of people, so I'm throwing out some pots as well. But always, as I told you, keep your max rank regrowth, max rank rejuve on the tank. If that is your assignment, that is your assignment. If I would have been assigned to do raid healing, I would pretty much don't cast healing touch at all. I would just be throwing out reuse all over the raid and let it work. But as you can see, down he goes. Nefarian dies, and he actually drops some massive healing loot because he got the Pure Elementium band and the healing mace dropped. And of course, I won none of them. Well, that was not really an advanced guide, more of a beginner's guide and a general guide to Restoration Druids in Classic WoW. You know, I really enjoy my pick of the main class. I'm looking to get the other healers up to max level as well, so I can make these videos and compare different types of healers. But I really enjoyed making it, and if you feel it deserved like it. If you feel like you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And if you have some feedback, you know, just leave it down below. And until next time, guys, see you in Azeroth.